Well, all right, shall we get started with the interview?
That would be good. Okay, do you want me to use my real name?
Only if you want to, whatever name you want to use.
Hi, I'm Michelle.
It's very nice to meet you, and thank you so much for agreeing to do this interview.
Thank you for having me, and you're welcome.
I'll just ask you some questions. I like to find out what people's start to life was like. So, for example, where you were born, where you grew up, and what your childhood was like.
Okay, where I was born. The funny thing is the thing about the Bermuda Triangle is it changes all the time. So I wasn't really born in a certain place. I was in a plane moving through the triangle beside Jamaica. As far as I know. We were on our way to Canada. So I ended up getting off the plane. Let's say this. I ended up at another hospital after I was born in the Royal Columbian. So New West is where I grew up. I started my life in New West. Moved out of New West at a very young age to Surrey, in like the poorer parts of Surrey. Had my whole family, almost like an East Indian family kind of arrangement, because it was my grandparents, my mom, her sister, and then their other sister, and the other sister. So it was 4 girls plus their parents, plus me, plus my grandmother's handicapped sister was living with us. So we had up a whole house, and it's all we could afford at the time. They were really proud of themselves, to be able to afford a house at that time was a big step up for them. It was actually their step up to a house. So mortgage, freedom, rights, things like that. Okay. Did you just see that? Did you see my shoulder just move like that?
I think the camera was unfortunately in the way.
It looks like I just got punched in the shoulder.
Oh, wow. I'll see it when I play it back. Okay, so what was life like growing up?
Well, I should say I was when I was born in the plane, the situation I guess was uncomfortable for me, and I ended up falling out of the plane into the water. Okay. So to be perfectly honest, now we have the woman who supposedly gave birth to me, but I came out of the womb dry, and even as a just born child, I realized that it's impossible. Every child who is just born comes out with goo, some kind of wound. There would be traces of it, and I'm like, well, how come I'm so dry, and what just happened to my face and things like that. My grandfather put a hat on me, and I turned into a guy for a second, and then all of a sudden I'm back to me. Okay. It was a weird thing, and it made me feel so uncomfortable. I fell off the plane into the water. And as like a 15-year-old, I didn't know anything different. So by the time I was almost at the bottom, I had pretty much relaxed enough to breathe. Somehow, okay? It's not that much like a dream to me. It's more like just something that happened to me in my life. I remember my mother. I don't remember my mother so much as I remember the driver of this vehicle. And for some reason, the name Martin Scorsese comes to mind. Okay, so it might have been that they were filming a movie at the bottom, blah, 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 or they found the bottom at that point, at that moment, because of me, let's say. So that's pretty cool. I could have ended up in the abyss. I could have ended up in the black hole of Earth. Never found again, but I would have ended up probably a mermaid or something. But I was lucky enough to find this woman who apparently is a really lucky lady to be alive today. She spent her time under the water her whole life because she was and up here she's haunted by such a heavy poltergeist. The priest is now getting kind of older and he's still around, but he may not be around someday, so she come up for air before he goes and passes away, because she can't be around this heavy spirit now. Scary, huh?
Yeah.
I was told at a very young age about this exorcist thing. So basically my mom is the owner of the Exorcist movie. Somehow she's the woman that played. So she also did a couple of music videos too, really scary ones.
And this is the mother that you were raised with in New West and then Surrey?
She's actually, how do you say, my papa's daughter.
Okay.
My papa, basically, we separated when I fell out of the plane somehow. But we ended up finding each other again right away. I had gotten lost. My mom was poor, couldn't take care of me, and put me in a basket. Someone had found me, put some money underneath me so that I would have a chance, so that I wouldn't die. My papa ended up finding me, actually picked me up and cried, and was so happy that he found his daughter before he even noticed that there was money and stuff. We were so poor at that time that it got us through, you know. He's a very good man. My grandpa, you know, he's got a couple of girls and he loves us.
Well, that's good. So
when
you're
we
still
moved
in
to
touch
Canada,
with... Okay.
I had this other family, like I said, in Surrey. They didn't really know of my papa at first. They met me and I was adopted at birth, like from the first woman, the woman in the plane. But I'm not sure why that happened. It looked like kind of maybe like bribery or something had gone wrong there. And she wasn't strong enough. Okay? She wasn't made of steel like some women that I would have been raised with. She had 3 other sisters there helping her raise me. So it wasn't noticeable. You know, she played a good mom. She smiled for the camera and stuff like that. But at every chance she could, she always gave me up for someone else to hold. My grandpa was more closest to me than anything.
Oh, okay. Are you in touch with your grandpa?
He just passed away.
Oh, sorry.
He just passed away.
So
And his wife is getting older now, and she's going to pass away soon.
Well, my condolences.
Thank you.
Passing of your grandfather. Sounded you were very close to him.
I don't think my grandma is very happy right now. I think she's very, my other grandmother, the first woman he married, wasn't beautiful enough for him. He was such a good man, and then he quit smoking and quit drinking and everything, and suddenly he found himself extra poor. And then he ran into my grandmother, who was a cosmetics representative at the Bay, and, you know, always smelled beautiful and looked her best, and was, you know, had a drawer full of jewelry and stuff. And my grandmother was just, she was a nurse, so she was very busy all the time. So they decided to separate, and he married this new woman, and so that's when we all started building their first house together. A rancher.
And that's where you grew up, in that area?
And I grew up with my grandparents mostly.
Okay.
I mean, when I was young, before high school, I was with my mom in Maple Ridge. But she was such a bad alcoholic that she just wanted me to stay home in my room all the time so that she didn't have to worry. Or every time I brought somebody home, she ended up making a fool of herself, and, you know, in front of my friends and stuff, made me feel stupid, right? But there were some things we did see eye to eye. You know, we both like cats, whatever. We lived in a one bedroom. I had the bedroom. My mom lived in the living room, and eventually she just kind of fell off her rocker. You know, started dipping into my inheritances and stuff, and so I lost out on a lot of opportunity because she needed things, right? She was she was an engineer for circuit boards. You know, she had the chance of a lifetime too, but I have a feeling that the woman that just ended up ruining my life was probably after her first, and I think might have scared her off this one job, got her into bad stuff. She's a scary woman. I don't feel comfortable being alone with her. I've had troubles in the past. You know, I've had to move to Toronto once to get away from her. And she found me out there. She went all the way out there and she found me out there and she tried to kill me.
This person is
my mom.
This is your mother.
This is the woman that was in the plane with me. Yeah, totally crazy. Totally. It was her drinking. She just drank so much that it consumed her soul, and she started locking me in attics and closets and stuff. So it was then I started going to the institutions that my aunt found me. I was so relieved to be out of that situation at such a young age. I really liked it there, you know, so I tried to excel a little bit so that the nurses didn't think I was crazy, even though I was kind of half retarded because of what happened, and not retarded, but felt retarded, you know, because I was so embarrassed, you know. Now it's like 25 years later.
How old are you?
I'm 45.
Oh, are you 45?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Expecting you to say you were much younger than that.
Thanks.
Oh.
I appreciate it. I feel much younger still. My mom, one of my moms, she's has a modeling agency in Europe somewhere. She's York, so I'm part York. My dad's Russian German, and he's a very nice looking man. Doesn't work much, gambles a lot. I think he bets and stuff on fights, and that's how he makes his money. Because I met him, he came here, wanted to see if I was getting him into any trouble, and basically didn't try to scare me or anything. He was so happy to see me, man. The whole time we were hanging out, he had a smile from ear to ear, and I was embarrassed because I just felt like crap. But my mother was just so out of it and so useless. She cheated on him. She was vindictive, blackmail for insurance money for drugs or whatever she was doing at the time.
Can I ask you what you did after high school? Like, you get a job or go to school?
Well, I dropped out halfway through grade 12, and then I went to live with my mom. For that last year, I ended up graduating a year late. I tried to go to college, and my little sister just pulled in right in front of me, took my interview away from school. She took my interview away from me. I had an 11 o'clock appointment to go to college, and a 1 o'clock appointment with one of the women to get a student loan to go to university or college or whatever it was at the time. I think it was Kwantlen. And my little sister loves daddy, loves mommy and daddy always loved her and hated me. So basically it was a game to them. You know? They just loved her so much more.
What were you planning to study if you had gone?
At first it was accounting. But, okay. You know, my stupid sister actually took my student loan, whatever she did, however she managed to continue there. She ended up with my bank account, getting the student loan with my interview. I'm not sure if she used her real name or not. She won't tell me anything. But she took ventriloquism, of all things.
Oh, interesting.
I was about to go into accounting, first year CGA, and at after it had been stolen from me and a few years went by, I had, I was on a different trip than the crystal meth thing. I was heavy into the crystal meth back then.
Okay.
And I didn't really have anything to be into. I was just needed to be high because of the pain, And it was bad. Like, that stuff is garbage, I could have lost everything easily, but I just didn't have the money to get that fucked up, luckily. So
what happened after those years?
Well, I didn't have a chance to get to school because
Right.
I didn't want to rat my sister out and be a rat. So I escorted for a few years.
Okay.
And after probably 1 or 2 years, I ended up doing really well. And I mean, I was like paying my rent months in advance, and I got to go shopping when I wanted, and eat when I wanted, and drink when I wanted, and I had boyfriends that were really gorgeous and awesome to me. I was good at escorting because I always need money, My building's so old and run down, people are dying like freaking
Where is your building?
flies over there. Gastown.
Okay, so you're living in Gastown, and
I've been on Water Street for like almost 20 years now. Yeah. I've actually lived in like 4 different suites on the floor that I live on, so I know that floor like the back of my hand, every sound, every creak.
wow, what an interesting story. You had your share of troubles and quite a variety of experiences. Sun's going down soon. It's getting cool out here, and you've shared so much, and I'm very thankful for that. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you
so
for
much.
having me.
And I just want to ask you, before we finish off, what are some of your interests and hopes for the future, or for now or the future?
I just hope that I can maintain the amount of trust that I have with my community and stuff as I'm passing through this really unknown number of years. I don't know if I told you that I've always been afraid of the time would come when I would suddenly stop having all the answers, and that time is now. That's why I went and had my teeth done, but some girls got mad and made them worse than they've ever been. So I almost died. I probably would have liked it that way, but once I get them fixed again, I'll be able to get together with the counselors and the powers that I need to be able to find my way back to my identity again, because it's only a matter of my credentials will always be better than, and I know for a fact that she's been given one of my BCIDs and one of, she's got
That's
some
your sister.
idea of mine,
Yeah.
so I can recover some of it somehow. She's
Where's
not
your
that
sister
smart.
these days?
On Vancouver Island, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. I wanted no contact with that family anymore because of the way my mother looked like she was about to do something bad to my dad there, my stepdad or whatever.
That makes sense.
He gave her everything she has right now, and for her to turn around and just not want anything to do with him enough anymore to get him taken away from us like that, it's like, there is something that's wrong with her, like really badly wrong with her. And if she can't accept the fact that it's alcohol, and at least try something, what she needs is something that's not a cult in her mind. She needs to be able to do her day without that bottle of Coke and rum,
Right.
She needs to be able to walk around with just the Coke and do it like everybody friggin' else has to. Sorry, but everybody has to do it to be cool. And that's all she wants to do is be cool. Like back when she was young, that's all she wanted. She wanted to be like a gangster bitch.
Can I ask you, you mentioned earlier that you had been doing some meth in your earlier days?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
is that substances, is that in your past? Is that over now?
Well,
Or you
I
still
basically
struggle at
quit.
all with
I
anything?
quit like cold turkey when I quit escorting.
for you.
Yeah, and I was like probably like 90 pounds when I stopped. I had moved up to the interior a little bit, ended up in the hospital, institutionalized. They found me on the train tracks, like naked or whatever, and then they sedated me for a whole week. I was down. And as soon as I woke up, who was there but my boyfriend? And I couldn't believe it. I thought, no way in hell would that guy ever want to see me again. Because I was just so messed up at the time, you know. I just hated myself so much I didn't care anymore, you know. But he was like, you know what? She may look like a fucking mess right now, but she's a good person. And so he came back for me and helped me drive home and stuff, bought me shoes. And we went on our way. And, you know, I've seen him once or twice around. He doesn't really look the same anymore, so I'm pretty sure he's doing well. I know he ran into some money at the time that we were leaving each other, so I know he's in a different state of mind than I'm in right now. I had a really good handle on things. So that's why I really am eager to get my teeth whitened and stuff, because I could end up just pretty much some random junkie on the streets dead. Like literally everybody else got funding for what was wrong with them in their head except for me and things like that. They took my kid away after promising me they wouldn't do that. I've been totally victimized by it a couple of times. And they're just like that. Okay, they're just regular people. And in Vancouver, you know what? There's not that many great people in Vancouver. Basically, a lot of us come from crap, you know, being crapped on, right?
Yeah, it certainly does happen. Well, Michelle, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I really
You're welcome.
appreciate it. And I'll get your information so I can come say hi to you, find you someday and see how you're doing. But that's great that you got a place to live. A lot of people don't that I talk to, so thank you again. And
You're welcome. It's my pleasure. I had it's this babbling thing. Thanks for letting me get a little bit of that stuff in order properly.
Oh, good. That can really be helpful to just get it all out, make sense of things. It's getting kind of noisy. But yeah, I really appreciate you telling me your story.
Thank you
All
for
right,
having me.
take care.
Yeah, you as well. Nice meeting you. And how do I look?
Pretty. No.
Tired?
No.
Not even walking in any.
You don't look tired to me. There you are.